Today we're going to look at solving rational equations, proportions, part 2, and these are going to look at quadratic equations. So the steps for solving a quadratic proportion, we're going to cross multiply, just like on the other ones. Then we're going to combine like terms. We're going to set our equation equal to 0. We're going to factor, which is what we've been working on for several weeks. And then we're going to set each factor equal to 0, and we're going to solve. So the first example, we have the quantity of k plus 3 divided by 3 equals 8 divided by the quantity of k minus 2. So first thing we're going to do is cross multiply, just like the others. So we'll start with the top left numerator and multiply to the bottom right denominator. So the quantity of k plus 3 times the quantity of k minus 2. So we're going to write that out. The quantity of k plus 3 times the quantity of k minus 2 equals, then go the other direction, 3 times 8 is 24. So now, on this equation, we're going to have to multiply on this left-hand side first. So we're going to FOIL, we're going to distribute twice. So we're going to say k times k is k squared. K times negative 2 is negative 2k. Then we're going to distribute the 3 to each. So 3 times k is 3k, and 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Bring down the equals 24. Now, on the left-hand side, we can combine these k's here in the center. So we'll bring down our k squared. We're going to say negative 2k plus 3k is 1k. Bring everything else down. Now, before we solve this, we want this equation to be set equal to 0, because notice we have a quadratic equation since we have that exponent of 2. So we're going to subtract 24, so we can get it over here with the k squared part. That will cancel and give us 0. So we'll bring down the k squared, we'll bring down that k plus k, but now negative 6 minus 24 will give us negative 30. Now we can solve this. So when we look at this left-hand side, we have a quadratic. So this is a 3-term quadratic, which means we're going to use brute force. So we're going to say 1 times negative 30, which is negative 30. So our factors of 30 are 1 and 30, 3 and 10, 2 and 15, and 5 and 6. The middle term is positive 1. But when we multiply, we have negative 30. So the bigger numbers are negative, the bigger numbers are positive rather. The smaller numbers are negative. Negative 5 plus 6 will give us positive 1. Negative 5 times 6 will give us negative 30 when we multiply. So our fractions, we're going to make 2 fractions. The top number is what's out in front, which is 1. The denominators, the bottom, are your pair, so negative 5 and 6. Then we're going to turn those into our parentheses. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to have the quantity of the top number goes with your variables, so 1k. The bottom is what you're adding, minus 5. Your second is 1k plus 6 equals 0. But now we're trying to actually figure out what the value of k is. So now we're going to take both of these factors and we're going to set them equal to 0. So we're going to take this first one. We're going to say k minus 5 equals 0 and solve. So our first answer would be k equals 5. Okay, and then we're going to take this second one, k plus 6, set it equal to 0. So subtract 6. And k equals negative 6. Notice on these we have 2 answers because we have a quadratic equation. That exponent of 2 tells us that we should have 2 solutions. So the next example, we have the quantity of x minus 5 divided by 4 equals negative 3 divided by the quantity of x plus 3. So we'll cross multiply. We'll start with the quantity of x minus 5 times the quantity of x plus 3 equals, we go the other direction, 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Now on the left-hand side, we're going to have to distribute. We're going to have to multiply. So we're going to distribute the x first. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Bring down that equals negative 12. The left-hand side, we want to combine these like terms, which are these middle terms. So we'll bring down the x squared. 3x minus 5x is negative 2x. We'll bring down that minus 15 equals negative 12. Now, if we want to use factoring to solve this, we're going to have to set this equation equal to 0. So we're going to add 12 to each side. That way on the right-hand side, you'll get equals 0. The left-hand side, you'll bring down that x squared minus 2x, and negative 15 plus 12 will give us negative 3. Now, since that's set equal to 0, we can use factoring to solve this. So on the left-hand side, we have 3 terms, which means we can use brute force. So we're going to take the number out front, which is 1, multiply by our constant, which is negative 3. So 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. And the only things that we can multiply together to give us 3 are 1 and 3. Our middle term was a negative 2, which means the bigger number has to be negative, the smaller one has to be positive. So 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, 1 plus negative 3 is negative 2. So for our fractions, the numerator is 1, since it's the coefficient in front of your x squared. The denominators are 1 and negative 3, since that's your pair. You can't reduce these, so we'll just fill these into our parentheses. So our first parenthesis is going to be the quantity of 1x plus 1. The second one is going to be the quantity of 1x minus 3. And remember, this was set equal to 0. So since these are set equal to 0, we actually want to solve these. So we're going to take each set of parentheses and set it equal to 0. So we'll say 1x plus 1 equals 0. So when you solve that, you'll get x equals negative 1 as your first solution. Then take that second one, x minus 3 equals 0. Solve it. So your second solution would be x equals 3. So x equals 3 and x equals negative 1. Once again, you have 2 solutions because it's a quadratic.